Greetings, lore seekers, and welcome to the very first Sal book reviews. In this series, I shall explain a little bit about a book, a general overview of the synopsis, and why I think you should read it. And as such, we're going to start with The Misenchanted Sword, written by Lawrence Watt Evans, originally published in 1985 during the month of September. Now, this book is the first look at the Legends of Escher series, and it kind of establishes essentially the world building of this book series. Now, it's actually quite well done, as the world building is not really the main driving force behind the story. It's a secondary bit of the story, but it does it quite casually and explains it over time as things go on and as the world changes during what happens in the book. Now, the book starts during the period of time known as the Great War between the Holy Kingdom of Escher and a empire known as the Northern Empire, which was sort of controlled by demons and used half demon, half human hybrids known as Shatra. Well, the reason why this is called the Great War is because this war has been going on for hundreds of years, with entire generations being born and raised in order to fight the Northern Empire, and even their children's being raised alongside the camps and various things of the war effort. Now, you'd think in a story like this we'd be getting the opinion of some great hero, some adventurer. Instead, we start off following a gentleman known as Valdor, first class Skelt. Now, Valdor is, at the beginning of the book, from the synopsis, is running away from a northern scout patrol, which he is worried contains both Shatra and sorcerers Shatra. Basically a half demon, half human hybrid that also has the powers of a sorcerer, being that the Northern Empire used demonology and sorcery as opposed to Escher using wizardry, Fiorg, and various other things as well, including witchcraft. Now, Valdor has been running from the scout party for many days, and something I do like is the very touch on how they explain wizardry. In fact, that he explains that he is under a spell of sustenance that's tied to a gem that he has on his possession, and they're going to explain that he can't eat or drink anything if you break. But essentially, what a spell of sustenance does is it puts you under a fast. As long as you don't break that fast, you won't feel the compulsion to eat or drink, and you can survive off the magic of the spell. The problem is, as well, is if you even salivate too much, you can break the spell. Now, this means that he's been able to survive weeks while fleeing from the enemy as they've attacked his base and proceed to push the lines back of the war back even further. Now, while he's been running, he comes across a hermit hut, which contains a wizard. Let's just say, things go awry, the hermit's hut gets destroyed by the Northern Scout Party, and the wizard and Valdor manage to trick them into thinking they're all dead, and so they leave. The wizard's really angry that this has happened to his house, and he's like, get out of here before I do something stupid. He's like, well, what can I do? I can't get home. You're my best bet to help me out here. And the wizard's like, right, that's it, just give me your sword, I'm going to enchant it, put everything I know on it, and it will get you home. So he relents. He gives him his sword, and the wizard asks him to salvage what he can to collect water, cook food, while he works on enchanting the sword. And then he gives him this enchanted sword. Now, he has no idea what enchantments are on this blade. The wizard has put many ones on here, and he comes to him and goes, this is now enchanted. It has now got the name Wirwikidor, which loosely means Slayer of Man, or Man, singular. And the story goes from there as he tries to get home with this enchanted blade. Now, as you've probably noticed, it's called the Misenchanted Sword. Like I said, for this entire bit, Valdor has no idea what the enchantments on this blade are, other than this one the wizard has loosely told him. Now, I'm going to do a separate video for spoilers, and I'm going to essentially do a book breakdown of this book. But if you like fantasy series and you like stuff that loosely explains about the world building of it and expands upon the world in a casual manner, not really taking away from the story, you'll really enjoy this book, and I heavily recommend it to anyone who wants to try it. I think it'd also be great if you are someone who loves RPG-based stuff as well. If you want to look into creating your own world, this could be a way of just to learning the process of how to explain a bit about the narrative without boring people with facts. Like there were bits in this book that I didn't really think about, that it was explaining the wider context of the world, and I was just lapping it up. I really enjoyed it. Because there are some bits that can just bog you down with a long explanation. Now that's generally due to the ability of the writer, and now Lawrence here has done a fantastic job in keeping the story entertaining while explaining the wider works of it. I'm going to go into spoilers if I'm not careful. I also realise while I'm doing this that I may actually have a new a lore series I can do. I'll think about that as we go forward with the book breakdowns. We'll see. But yeah, heavily recommend this. The book doesn't just end when he gets home. He gets home, they look at the sword, and then various other things spiral off from that, because, you know, this guy's got a magical blade. That's an asset they can use in the war. And it follows on from there. I'm not going to explain it here, because that would be big spoilers, but if you want to, I suggest picking up The Misenchanted Sword, giving it a nice read, and perhaps even checking out the rest of the Legends of Escher series. I myself actually started with the second book in the series with a single spell, which was the detailings of a young wizard's apprentice who's only been taught one spell when his master dies, and all the trouble he gets into. So the friend who recommended that, you know who you are if you're watching this video. Thank you very much for introducing me to this series, and I look forward to sharing everything with all of you. And as always, take care, and may the lore keepers ever be in your favour.